Hi, welcome to Housing Matters. I'm Trish Jakeman.
And I'm Sebastian O'Hara. Today we're joined by Steph and John talking about the practicalities of living in service family accommodation on a military patch.
And how do we make those houses feel like homes and those areas feel like communities? Welcome to Housing Matters. Could you introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Steph Jervis and I work in DIO accommodation, and I'm also a service family member and have lived in SFA for about 18 to 20 years, something like that now.
Wow. How many moves? How many moves are we looking at?
I think this is my 15th.
Well,
My goodness.
We've moved an awful lot over the years, yeah. I've definitely seen lots of places.
let's get into that in a bit.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And introduce yourself as well, John.
Yeah, so I'm John Reynolds. I am the Military Housing Liaison Officer for the North. I'm based out of Catterick. I cover predominantly the North East. I've been in the Army for about 37 years now.
Not long.
I've been a Military Housing Liaison Officer for about 14 years now. So I've been through the trenches with it, and
Oh, so you've seen quite a lot in the accommodation space then over the years.
Absolutely, and I've had about 13 SFA prior to jumping over to FTRS and living in my own home.
Yeah.
I've seen both sides of that now.
Oh, fabulous. So, Steph, if we just start with you a bit, we'll just sort of nicely ease into just finding a bit more about you. So just talk about some of the moves that you've had and like geographically where you've been.
Oh, gosh. So my very first one was to Chatham in Kent back in 2008. And I only lived there for about 8 weeks, I think, because we just got married and moved into this house. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I thought it was great, this great house. And we lived there for 8 weeks because my husband got a phone call very quickly into it saying, you're posted to Cyprus now. So I was like, amazing. Like, this is like a honeymoon for like 2 years going off to Cyprus. So we then moved off there and spent a couple of years in Cyprus. And then since then, we've kind of just came out and dotted around lots of different places. We've done Northern Ireland, which was amazing. I loved it over there. I've lived down in Shrivenham, down in Swindon. I've lived in Nottingham a handful of times, London. I've been everywhere, really. I think there's probably a few places I've been now sort of that haven't ticked
Anywhere
off,
you haven't been that you want to live? Anywhere on the list? You've got a little list.
I mean, I'd love to go and do a sort of Australia posting or America. If I had to do stay in the UK, Edinburgh. That would be an all right one.
Yeah.
That would be quite a good one. Different one. I've not done Scotland, so
You need to come up to Catterick.
I would
Having
love.
your family up in the North East, you need to come up to Catterick.
See, that's it. My family are in the North East, so doing Catterick would be amazing, but that's never been on the cards for us, unfortunately. So, that would be a good one. I like to be back up when the Geordies are.
And so just for the listeners out there, as we talk about service family accommodation, like we absolutely understand what that means, but just explain to the people that are tuning in today, what is service family accommodation?
So service family accommodation is effectively a family home that's provided to you for you to be able to live comfortably wherever your husband or partner or wife, spouse is working. You get to live in this, house that's everything's provided, and it's great. It's just you can be on a patch, you can be out. A lot of the houses were very much patch based. We're sort of moving away from that slightly now, and we're getting newer properties coming in, which means you're getting sort of a little bit of an option of almost living a patch life with that big community sort of feel, or going and living a little bit more of a normal life away from the community kind of thing, away from that military community. So service family accommodation is effectively just a home that is provided to you, that you live in for that duration of time while your spouse is posted in a specific location.
Fantastic. John, you talked about your role being an MHLO. Can you bring that to life a little bit for us? What does that look like, and how does that role feature within the lives and the process, and how families move into service family accommodation?
Yeah, so military housing liaison officer. So it's unique to the Army, although we function purple because we cross deck all over the place when it comes to our housing stock. So So effectively, I see myself as that bridge between the green or purple, and the families, and then the contractors and DIO themselves, so that I can answer the questions at that lower level for them.
Yeah.
And I can build the relationships in a regional basis, so that I can have quick fixes if need be, or I can get the answers to people so that we can communicate that back to them.
And can you bring to life a little bit we use that phrase twice now. Can you bring to life the process of how families move in and out? So we've talked about kind of the concept of houses and serving persons and their families living in houses.
So
what does that process look like?
So there's a number of routes in. So obviously you can be a new couple, or you can be a new joiner into the army, or you can just be assigned somewhere. So when you're just assigned somewhere, the trigger is the assignment order where you're going to. And then that starts the process. Then you would just apply. I mean, you can go online and look at and observe how you apply for a house. You put your application in. That sits with the National Service Centre over at Liverpool then, and then they will process that and try and find the best result for you and your family, depending on your entitlement, and see where that fits. Hopefully, as close to your duty station as possible, or meet the needs of the family if alternative requirements are needed.
And I mean, you've just been through a house move yourself, haven't you? And like, it was sort of, just thinking about like how the life's changed over the years, and like some of the improvements we've driven in, sort of photographs and floor plans, and just really interested, Stefan, in understanding your lived experience with all the moves that you've done and how that sort of compares to most recently, because it is really stressful, isn't it? And I think the easier we can make that for families in just being able to like look at the photos.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, every house is different that I've lived in, and being able to see some really good quality photographs and some floor plans just makes such a big difference, because when you're moving into a different type of house every time, you don't really know what's going to fit furniture wise. So just being able to see the floor plans and go, oh right, great, I can like maybe put that here and put that there. It's just that's a bit less stressful then for you, because things are going to work. I mean, over the years, we've had to sort of change furniture so many times really to fit into lots of different styles of property. But yeah, I mean, I think definitely that the improvements there are brilliant, because it does make a big difference when you can see that house, see what it sort of all looks like, and you know what you're moving into.
Yeah.
Which, going back wasn't quite as much a case before, whereas now we're seeing that a lot more with.
Does it help build a bit of excitement? I'm conscious that moving really regularly can be quite challenging. I've done it once, and I can't even imagine doing that as regularly as some people do. And a massive hat off to those that do.
I'm a pro now at packing a box.
Being able to see a property and bring to life for the family as well, and build that excitement, as opposed to it being a chore or something that's challenging. Recognising that moving's hard, especially at other ends of countries, different countries, for children and spouses. Does that how much of an impact does that actually have on families?
Oh, I think it is pretty huge, to be fair, because it is it can be a very stressful time. And I think as a military community, we are quite resilient. We're pretty tough cookies, I think, because we do sometimes deal with a lot of things in one go. And I think just being able to see those pictures can bring that little, well, for me anyway, it does. I do get quite excited about moving. I look at all the different opportunities of moving and, all these exciting places I'm going to see. But it still is a very stressful time. You have all sorts of things going on, when you're moving house. I've moved when my husband's been on operations in Afghanistan. I've had 3 children on my own to have to move. I've been working full time. I've had lots of sort of personal things going on, but it doesn't stop the fact that you still have to move, and you have to move to a place you don't know. You're not going out of choice. You have to sometimes find a new job.
Yeah.
There are so many things that can be impacting on a service family in one go, and that can be quite hard. But yes, I do still get very excited at moving. I think I just love to pack a box. That's what it is.
We've definitely got much better at it. I will say, certainly with the floor plans and the photos, making sure they're up to date and so on. So, one thing I will say though, if you don't mind, is the preferencing system, and it's fantastic that we can look online and see the availability there. But it's just to our viewers to be aware, because a lot of people don't understand that they're not the only ones that are looking at the house at the same time. So there's sometimes some disappointment through that process. But certainly once the allocation's been made and they know their address, having that availability for floor plans, planning, starting to look at, do I need to get this? It absolutely adds to the excitement.
And what? So you talked about some of the pros and cons, right, of that moving process. How important is the support around families moving? Because I've been involved in helping facilitate some moves that maybe haven't been going as well as they should have been. I'm conscious that the serving person sometimes could be moving into a home and then on their toes and on their way to go and do something. What does that support network look like around families moving to areas? I'm conscious it's slightly different in different areas, but broad brush, what does that support look like for a family moving to a new area? What can they expect to see on a really regular basis?
So, I mean, I don't know if you want to, obviously from the welfare side of things, you might have...
Obviously, depending on which service you have, we'll have a different slightly take on this, but they will all have some sort of welfare facility that they can lean in on. RAF have SCSOs, Navy have their welfare. Army certainly have a wraparound welfare system, but every unit has their own specifics. You also have the hive at each of those locations as well that can help and support and give advice where necessary. But yeah, certainly their own individual welfare units will hopefully know that they're arriving. If they don't, please just search them out, get in there straight, have it as sort of number 3 on your list to do. Find out where that welfare centre is. Let them know that I'm here, because sometimes they don't know that you've arrived, and then you'll sit there and feel isolated. Whereas if they know, I'm sure the wraparound care will start coming in. And some people don't need it. I mean, they're on the 4th or 5th move, and they're like, no, it's okay. I know what I'm doing here.
They're all quite I think each move is very unique as well in terms of where you are in your life and what support you do need. And I think, like you say, you're probably not always going to need the Hive or AF or any of those sort of welfare organisations out there, but they are really good if you just reach out to them. They'll always be so helpful, and they've got such a wide range of knowledge of different things, because they've seen people coming through, in lots of different circumstances. They've dealt with all sorts, and so if you're moving somewhere and you just want to know a little bit more about what's going on, whether that's to do with children or shops even, like where the shops
are.
Area.
Where's the swimming pool? I've got kids. I want to get them out of the house, or get them to the space.
We're not just moving around the corner. We're moving from one end of the country. We're moving to other countries and so on. So everywhere will have its own isms around it. Local authorities do things completely different in different areas. Schooling applications, all that sort of stuff that are really big ticket numbers to those families. Those will have that benefit, that knowledge to pass on.
And and I think some of my experience of being the family's champion is actually there's such a great enterprise of support out there and wraparound for families. But actually and I totally get that, because actually, joining the forces in itself is a monumental thing to do, and you're absorbing all of that sort of new set of abbreviations, new set of discipline, and then if you're bringing a spouse, partner, husband, wife with you, they're already sort of starting to learn, moving around the country. Just set out and explain, if it's a new family out there or somebody that's about to sort of join service life, there's sort of different levels of support there is, because we know we've got housing officers, we know we've got people like you, John, we know we've got hives, we know we've got family federations. Just explain the sort of support that you know that's out there that you can offer families, and then Steph, I'll be really interested to sort of hear your lived experience of using that as well.
Okay, yeah. So we've touched on the welfare teams, I mean, and they will have people within, they've got specific roles within that team. But going back to the housing officer piece, and just recently, the new innovations of the housing officer's role and how they can spend more time looking after those families, it's been immense. And having someone that they can just reach at the other end of the phone direct or see in the street, because they're visual now, and support them through all those new add-ons that they've got to their life. So a young family that don't even understand the army or the navy or whatever. What's that all about as well? So having that person that can take that burden away and jump on it straight away
it
really
can
helps.
be quite a unique way of living that people don't always really understand. I mean, when I've talked to people in the past and said, I was living on a camp behind barbed wire sort of thing, and there was bitey dogs and all sorts of things, and they're like, what? This is a crazy world, like, and moving every sort of 18 months to 2 years, it is quite a unique way of living. And so coming into it without any real exposure to any of that ever, you're not really going to know how to live. I mean, I do remember when I was first married, it was so scary because I moved onto this, we moved to Cyprus, and it was sort of everybody wanted to know everything about me, and it was this like community, and it was great, but I didn't know how I had to be. I was like,
and you've
what's
had it
expected?
Like you sort of 8 weeks in the UK and then straight into what must be quite an intense environment, because you were abroad as well.
Yeah, it was very different, and the Hive there were incredible, because, like I say, they just know so much. And the other the Army Welfare Service that I've used, obviously there'll be an RAF one, there'll be a Navy one. They're fantastic as well for when you move to if you've got family, they'll help you with all sorts of different things. But they'll set up things for children that you can take your children off to, clubs and all sorts of things. And it's just finding those people and how to get in touch with them. So I would probably say asking your spouse, partner who's serving, just to get a number, or would you agree? Like to get something where you can get that contact. I mean, the Hive, they all have their own web pages and things now, don't they? And so you can find all the information online, which is great because, even going back to 2008 when I first started living like this, there wasn't really as much out there internet-wise, really, was there? So that's changing things massively.
And you'll find as well that each patch has its own. They'll have their own little social media site, so they can chat. You can jump in on that early, and they do very early now. They'll get on that, start asking the question: who's got photos of the house we're moving to? What's the best schools in the area? And start that excitement as they come in, rather than just landing flat and going, what am I going to do?
You talked about something earlier, and it was about preference, and it was about the choice in houses, which I think is fantastic, right? So they'd be able to choose a house in a patch where only around you is other serving families exactly the same as yourself, or somewhere that's slightly different that may be more suitable for how you and your family as a unit want to live is really important. There are lots of things happening. Bring to life, Steph, a little bit what it's like bringing a family into a new home or into a new house, and how you make that a home.
I mean, we've always had good giggles over the years about sort of what colour kitchen we're going to have when we move into the house, or what flowery curtains we're going to have in the house, and we've had a good laugh about stuff like that over the years. That's all starting to change now. Although I do miss my yellow kitchen. I did have a yellow kitchen one place. That was very nice. But moving in with the family, the kids are so excited about which bedroom am I going to have? And
because one of the things we've been doing recently is like this patch acts, and trying to allow families to have more sort of autonomy and level of actually this is my home. Do I really want to live with the yellow flowery curtains or the magnolia walls and things like that, and the ability to sort of personalise?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we've got this new colour palette that's coming, which is just amazing because magnolia walls has been a thing for forever for us, and everyone jokes and laughs about it. So this new colour palette they're bringing in is amazing. That's wow. So that's going to be brilliant, sort of going forward. There's been quite a few sort of Facebook pages over the years of people that people have created on hacks of how to do your SFA up, beautifully, kind of thing, and all these temporary things you can use to make it look really nice. And I think sometimes again it just depends on the house that you're living in. where it is, what's going on. But we've done our house up, painted the walls, and made the girls' bedrooms all really nice, and so you still got that flexibility. You can still go into a house and you can do all of that. You can try and put your own personal touch on it so that it becomes a home for you, because.
And it's good now, isn't it? Because you've got social media, which we wasn't there.
Yeah.
So you follow people like the Mrs. Hinches and all of that.
You'll have your patch influencers there and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
But the enhancements that we can do now on the SFA, clearly there's lots out there, but there's lots you can do and there's lots you can't do, and it's navigating that minefield of the best advice I would give. It's always ask, and again we go back to the housing officers. They're the ones there that are on the ground. That you ask that question: what level can I go up to here? I mean, we were, and I go back to my day. It was always, and I reiterate what you were saying there about the 8 weeks. You're like, I don't quite know how long I'm going to be here, so is it worth putting that effort?
Yeah,
So
that is a good point.
Strip it all back down, make it good. Whereas now, if the levels that you can get up there, like putting shelves up, putting your own curtain poles up, and so on, and then bringing in tradesmen to do enhancements on your house as well. And again, using the website, the Defence Home Services website, use the Army Family Federation, all the other fam feds. They've got some really good stuff on there, hints and tips.
Well, the greatest thing for me is, like in some of my visits, is actually like this. Some of the stuff that families do, because they take real pride, and the garden borders was like a great example of like, actually another family can benefit from that now. So rather than the fear of worrying about, actually I need to sort of put that back to where it was, there was the pride and the sort of sense of care that another family are going to come in to have that. And how
100%.
nice is that, where it is a home and you do want to make it feel like home. I really wanted to just touch on, John, with you in particular, that we've talked about like the moving and things like that, and we know like it's unbelievably stressful because we were chatting earlier, weren't we, before we were doing this, about it's the move, it's the job change, it's the schools, it's all the things that we do that are incredibly stressful, and then you put them all together, and like I'm really keen that we really focus on the community as well. And I've been to Catterick a few times, and I know there's like a huge amount of work going up in that space of trying to deal with isolation and various other things of what's been created. Could you just talk us through some of that work and actually how that is really impacting families up there? Yeah,
so I mean, again, new families coming in, certainly they haven't had experience away, so we try to, where as much as possible, wrap around those. The community aspect, there's certain areas, certain patches, again, the housing officers are taking some great leads on that. I mean, they're coming up with different ideas, certainly seasonal stuff, Christmas and so on, and the best decorated house and all that sort. And they're really getting into it, and it's really great. And again, going back to that younger family, it's about identifying those, again, and the housing officers will always know who the voice of the patch is. I mean, some of them have been there longer, and they'll put their foot forward and go, I'll help. I mean, I'll look after this family. I'll give them some hints and tips. So again, we can link in that way, and that all pivots around that housing officer role.
Yeah, because you've got like the Brambleswood and things like that, which has just been so important for the community up there.
Absolutely, and again, obviously that's the social value side of our contractors putting their piece in. But the community E50K up at Bramblewoods, and bringing that community together and having a shared space and having somewhere you can get creative is great, and meeting people, and that's what it's about. It's that first meeting of like-minded people that are going through the same stuff as you are, and they become lifelong friends then.
Yeah. I think that's the thing for me, is around, it's not just the home piece, it's the outside that you talked about, the kind of the borders of the front of the house. And that's not to say that a modern bathroom and a modern kitchen isn't important, because the families that I know I've spoke to that have benefited from that have really, really, really benefited. It's the outside the home stuff as well. Yeah. And I've got a toddler, and opening the doors and letting her run around, it makes the rest of my day a lot better. So that those spaces where families can meet, walking the pets, meeting other children out and about, helps to integrate into environments whereby there is, as we said, kind of so much change and so much churn.
Yeah, we've got some great play parks and stuff like that, but it's a little the little niggles, like that street light's not working, or that's not, but we're getting so much better at that now. But there is stuff going on, and we're all working together to make that happen. So it's not all doom and gloom. You don't shut your door, shut your curtains, and and you're left alone and isolated in there, there's so much going on. So
there's going to be so much colour on the walls inside the houses with all the choice that families have now got.
And clearly we're getting away from that magnolia world now. And we're whiting everything out.
Have you kept the magnolia, or have you? I won't press you.
Everyone's painting their white houses magnolia.
And can't get away from it.
And flowery curtains is what I've heard. Look, John, Steph, you've been fantastic guests. Thank you very much for coming on, spending your time today talking to us about both your roles and your views and your perspectives with regards to service family accommodation. Really appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.